Jack, you got a game to talk about this week, right?
Ooh, I sure do.
All right, let me
Um,
swap us over real quick, and you can get started on this. Well, there you
so
go.
if you know
Oh,
me,
wrong screen.
you know that I
There
am
we
a
go.
colossal H.P. Lovecraft nerd.
Yeah.
One of the streams that I do is literally just a whole bunch of us playing H.P. Lovecraft board games, specifically Fantasy Flight Games Arkham Horror Second Edition. That is our perennial favorite. We even have a hierarchy of like what Arkham Horror board game to play in each situation. And that's not a topic for this particular show, but if you are interested, hit me up and I'll tell you what that breakdown looks like. So when we started the show, mysteriously, so we're playing games over Tabletop Simulator because we have people all over the country. Mysteriously, about a week and a half into the show, the Tabletop Simulator mod that we were playing just up and vanished. Could not get it anymore. Now we had it backed up, so it didn't really impact us all that much. But we were like, I wonder if that means that we shouldn't be playing this anymore. And we also thought, I wonder if Asmodee, because Asmodee had copyright struck it, is what had happened. Um, and we were like, does that mean they're going to be doing some sort of digital implementation of the game? Because if so, great. Like, we'll definitely enjoy that. Turns out, yes, that is exactly what they were doing. And the game that I'm reviewing tonight is Arkham Horror Mother's Embrace. It is the product that came out of Asmodee copyright striking Tabletop Simulator mods. And it features the characters and settings from the Arkham Horror Files board games. It's a XCOM-like system, but it's really just a storytelling mechanic. It's not difficult in any way, but basically you choose one of the investigators that players of the board games know and love. I went with Jenny Barnes because she is one of the original investigators. Richard Lonnie is the creator of Arkham Horror, told us that actually in a stream chat. He popped in our Twitch chat.
Oh wow.
Which is pretty cool. And so I was like, okay, I gotta go with one of the originals. And you play through this story that, quite honestly, is entirely telegraphed in the name of the game. If you know anything about H.P. Lovecraft, you know exactly what's going on before you even launch the game. You know exactly who the big bad is. You know exactly who all the major players are, and all. You're not particularly surprised by the locations that you go to, but it's a surprisingly fun and riveting story. So Arkham Horror Mother's Embrace was developed by Asmodee Games, or Asmodee Digital. It came out March 23rd of this year. I played it on PC, but it's available for Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC, of course. And I think Stadia as well, for whatever that's worth.
Nothing.
I could be wrong, but even so, like, who cares? It's Stadia. It's a $20 game that I got on sale for $15.
Very good.
You get what you pay for. It is exactly a $15 to $20 game, no more. The graphics are pretty bad, but you don't care because it still captures the feeling of the board games. The characters look as they should. For the most part, they sound as they should and they act as they should. You definitely feel like you're walking around in the 1920s in both Arkham, Massachusetts and New Orleans. You're a group of investigators tracking down a bunch of cultists who are doing cultist stuff and trying to summon the end of the world.
As one does.
Yeah, it's so you literally just go through the building, click on every single thing that's clickable, probably lose a bunch of sanity, and maybe, well, okay, if you're paying attention to what you're doing, you're gonna stop the end of the world. That's the way that the games work, or that's what you expect out of an H.P. Lovecraft game. It's exactly the same thing I got out of the Call of Cthulhu video game. Although I would say the Call of Cthulhu video game is a little bit more difficult. So I liked that it's very intimately tied to what I love from the board games. It's the same characters, it's the same settings, it's the same graphic style, and the stakes are about the same. You feel just as invested as the characters as you do when you play the board game. So from that perspective, it's great. And the story is nothing tremendously deep. You're not going to get any extra meaning out of it. Josh, you and I talk about how Majora's Mask has all those undertones of the stages of grief and all that stuff. Yeah, so Arkham Horror Brothers Embrace isn't doing that kind of thing.
There's no hidden meanings.
Yeah, there's nothing. They're not pulling any punches and they're not hiding anything in it. It's just it is what it is.
So Mother's Embrace is literally a reference to a hug from your mom.
No, it's I thought the elder god. That's right. Sure, Paul. No, so again, if you're familiar with the H.P. Lovecraft mythos, you will know what's going on immediately.
I'm
if
not.
You're not,
I'm not.
You're going to assume it's a hug from your mom, or as Josh did a couple of weeks ago, assume it's the Joker from Batman's mother.
Oh yeah, because of Arkham. I was like, I don't fucking know.
No,
that would be a dope game. Come on,
Joker, a dope game.
Joker origin story.
But no, it's there's an elder god from I won't spoil it for anybody who wants to play the game. There is an elder god who is generally referred to as the mother. Okay. And yeah, it's very clear from the onset of the game exactly who you're fighting and exactly what's going to happen. But that doesn't take away from it.
Cool.
Which is really, really cool. Like they leaned into it. They were like, yeah, a lot of people are going to know exactly what's going on. Great, fine, still play the game. It's worth it.
What style of game? So far, this looks like an investigation type of game. Is there any combat, or is it all like?
Yes.
Is this like Ace Attorney kind of stuff, or?
No. So there's like the Nancy Drew sort of investigation stuff that Faye really likes,
point and click.
but then there's also XCOM style combat.
Oh, cool.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So there, you have people who are better with guns and people who are better with spell casting and people who are better with melee combat and people who are tanks and it doesn't delineate that. It doesn't tell you outright. You have to figure that out for yourself. So where Alex and I have been playing Gears Tactics, it tells you, okay, this character's a sniper, this character's a tank, this character's blah, 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 blah. Mother's Embrace doesn't do that. It's like, pick your favorite investigators. Good luck.
Okay.
And someone in my chat had said, so-and-so, whose name is escaping me at the moment, Marie Lambeau, is an extremely good spellcaster. If you want to win, give her books so she can cast spells. I did it, and I won handily. Because on her turn, I was just like, cast this spell.
Gotcha.
Kill the thing? Great. There's another character who, in a dialogue, says, oh, I'm really good at, frontline combat. Not in those words, but and I was like, I just happened to pick up on that because I was reading all the dialogue aloud. And I was like, okay, Rex Murphy is going to the front. Great. Moving forward.
I think I found some combat. Continue. Sorry. I just wanted to see some combat in the
fair enough. Here. There's a lot of walking around. So this actually brings us perfectly into what I didn't really care for about the game. The balance of walking around and combat was not good. The walking around was painfully slow. Even when you're holding the button to accelerate your movement, you don't go any faster.
Oh no.
It's so slow.
Why would they even design it like that?
That's don't know.
Bananas.
I beat it in the first couple of days that it was out.
Sure.
So they may have changed that at this point.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, streaming it was very easy because I took all that time that we were walking around to interact with the chat. So it was a much higher interactivity quotient because of that drawback. But if I were playing this off stream, I would have been like, oh my God, hurry it up. Like, come on.
Right.
The combat is a little bit clunky because they tried to implement an XCOM-like system in a game that's, it's a $20 game.
Yeah.
And XCOM is a much higher production value system. So it's very janky sometimes. You take sanity loss for absolutely, like, I open a bread box. I take a sanity loss?
Maybe it was moldy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You're losing your mind.
Yeah.
Like Chamali pointed out.
Well, there was bread in here.
Why are we losing sanity for opening a bread box? Why are
Or
we
maybe,
losing
like,
sanity for
someone
picking up a
Maybe it's for the
product?
player. Maybe it's
like
the
took a
exact
bite out of
result
a
right
slice
here.
of bread and put it back in the box. I'd go.
Maybe.
Maybe it's to purposely drive you crazy as the player. And you're just like, fuck,
that
what
was
the
the conclusion
hell?
we came to, Josh. Is like, oh my
Yeah.
God, stop it with the sanity loss. This is driving me crazy.
Yeah. Oh my God, it works.
It sure does.
Damn.
The recovery system is weird. Like if a character takes a mental trauma, like if they take too much sanity loss, they have to sit out a mission and then they can just arbitrarily recover that mental trauma.
So like die for a turn, basically.
Yeah, basically. So it's very strange.
It's strange.
There's zero replayability at all. Like
Sorry,
you play the
just-
game and you've got the story, which
Oh, no.
again, that kind of game you kind of expect that.
Yeah.
And it harkens all the way back to Myst.
Sure.
Once you know the secrets of Myst, you can play that game in
Yeah.
5 seconds and there's no replayability
Right.
anymore.
Though, the argument could be made that if it's a good enough story, like I'll play Final Fantasy IV over and over again because it's a good story and it's a fun game.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but
like,
never changes. But you know,
and they give you a different option for lead investigator,
Mhm.
but the lead investigators are all so vanilla that it doesn't really change anything up at all. You're still unlocking the same extra investigators at the same plot points in the story every single time. So maybe they could have like done some branching plot threads, but again, $20 game, you get what you pay for.
Sure.
The art is, again, it's exactly what you see in the board game, which kind of makes for crappy graphics.
It doesn't look bad to me.
But it doesn't. No, it doesn't end up feeling bad. Like you don't feel bad about it. You get exactly what you expect out of it.
Sure.
The music is forgettable. It's just that weird, like, it's probably hired some third-rate composer to do generic suspenseful music.
Yeah.
So there's nothing special about the music. The sound design, it sounds like when you walk up and punch a tentacle, it sounds like you're punching a tentacle. It is exactly what you'd expect. Doors opening, footsteps, lots of ambient sound effects to build that suspense. They nailed it. They absolutely nailed it in terms of sound design. How long did it take me? 7 hours. Start to finish.
Not a long game.
Nope, not a long game. It is,
especially for like an RPG kind of thing. That's
exactly.
Very short. Yeah.
It's very short. I did it all on stream in 2 sittings. It was fine. Was it difficult? Hell no. No, not at all.
Literally sound like it was intended to be.
Yeah, it was not. It's not intended to be difficult.
Right.
It's intended to tell a story. As per usual on stream, I played it on normal because normal. It's called normal for a reason. That's what the developers expect expect the average player to be playing on. Again, if it's co-op, I ramp up the difficulty. But other than that, no. That's I didn't see a need to make it any more difficult on myself than what was expected of me. Would I play a sequel? Absolutely. Of course I would. Like, bring on a sequel. It's going to be exactly the same experience, but tell a different story. Use the same investigators, use different investigators. I don't care. Would I play DLC? Absolutely. Give me more.
As long as it's additional story.
Yeah, as long as it's additional story.
All right.
There's no reason for like a arena combat mode or something like that.
Right.
That's stupid. I'm not going to play that.
It's got a good like story delivery mechanism.
It is a great story delivery mechanism. Okay. That is exactly what I would call it, honestly. It is less of a game and more of a story delivery.
We talked
method
a couple weeks ago about when you played it, and I made I had previously made the comparison of God of War being the best movie that I had played that year.
Yep.
And
I said this was the best book I've ever played this year.
Yeah. There you
go. That is exactly what this is. It is you are playing out an H.P. Lovecraft story. And as a result, it's a fun game. It's totally worth it.
Nice.
Again, $15 to $20. Sure. That's chump change. Whatever. No problem. And if it comes to Game Pass, which it might.
Money bags over here.
Chump change. Why am I asking?
Chump change. Just rolling up $20 bills and lighting them on fire. I'm just joking. Yeah.
I know. Is it a 9 or a 10 video game? No, not at all. But it's a perfect example of exactly what you were talking about last week, Paul, where we need to have some kind of a scale, like some kind of a fixed scale, because it's not a good game. It's not, but it's incredibly fun.
Okay. So okay.
So I like as a video game, it's like a 5.
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, it's clunky. The motions are weird. The combat is strange. The dialogue is goofy.
Sure.
But as a gaming experience, it's up there with some of the best of them.
Okay.
I had an absolute
Very
ball playing it. So as a game, it's like a 5.5, but as an experience, it's an 8.5, 9.
Okay. So the average of that would be
like a 7 or something.
7 or something. 7.3.
0.3? Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
7.3.
7.3.
Yeah, 7.3.
We got to get a number out of here.
Again, so it is a good product. It is a good product, and it is super fun. I absolutely had a blast playing it, and the chat did too. We really.
I can see your chat popping off in your gameplay.
Yeah, it's probably the most active chat I've had in a long time.
Nice.
Because
cool.
people were just enjoying us watching and playing a story.
Right.
So, if you've got $20, it's worth it. If not, wait for it to be on sale. It's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Play it. Play Arkham Horror
cool.
Mother's Embrace. It's good.
Excellent.
Good experience.
That's the review. I dig
It's
it.
good experience.